Absolutely incredible title race yesterday. Did you see it? Of course you probably did. Two teams locked in a life or death struggle trying to win their league. One team, the perpetually dominant one, the other one, the upstarts trying to make it happen, and they did. That's right, I'm not talking about the Premier League. I know, how dare I? It's like I want my career to die or something. No, we're talking about the Austrian League today. Get on board. Because in the Austrian League, it was proved conclusively that speaking German and having a long title-winning streak, well, that was just a bad thing to enter the season with. Because even without Harry Kane, Salzburg managed to fumble the Austrian League title for the first time in 11 years. Salzburg, RB Salzburg, as they're commonly known, because, that's their name, they had won the Austrian League title for 10 consecutive seasons. But entering the final day, they were in the inverse position of Manchester City. They needed Sturm Graz to not win, and they needed to win their game. Well, I'm going to spoil the surprise for you. Salzburg won their game. They played against Lask, and they beat them 7-1. So Salzburg was clearly upset, and they wanted to take care of business right out of the gate. But Sturm Graz, to its credit, although it took until the 69th minute, which, first of all, nice. It took to the 69th minute for Utrecht to score the goal for Sturm Graz, and the 90th minute goal from Kamara to clinch what was the first title for any team that's not Salzburg in Austria in a decade. This is a victory that is awesome for a couple of reasons. One, Sturm Graz is a very, very well supported club. I've been to one Austrian League match ever. It was Austria Vienna at home against Sturm Graz. In Sturm Graz had excellent traveling support. Very impressive. So I'm just happy for those dudes that were behind some unnecessarily high fence waving a bunch of giant flags. I feel like they really did kind of deserve this. But it's also from a different region of Austria, which I just find particularly fascinating. It's from the only region in Austria that's actually south of the Alps, which allows us to enter into one of my favorite segments, geography with Zealand. See, here is Austria. Quite long, don't you think? You got Vienna over here. You've got teams that everybody hates their away day over here. Salzburg's right here, right on the border with Germany. That's Munich right up there. And then these are the Alps. Well, see, there's this little valley, this like region of Austria that actually is beneath the Alps. They have a funny accent. I learned that while I was in Austria. Of course, I was there to see my club that I was playing with on Stream Football Manager called Floridsdorfer. And even the guy that worked at Floridsdorfer, while obviously being the director of Floridsdorfer and a huge fan of Floridsdorfer, was also a Sturm Graz fan at the same time. And so I got to meet and talk with a Sturm Graz person, and it is great for a club to be back on top of the Austrian League that is not like a sanitized corporate club. Because Salzburg, although I am sure there are fans of the club, it just doesn't have the same sort of club-like infrastructure that a lot of the other teams in Austria have. And I think if you're a fan of preserving the spirit of the game, those types of corporate structure clubs being defeated and not perpetually dominating leagues, those kind of second-tier leagues like the Austrian League, those not being perpetually chokeholded by a team like Salzburg is just a great thing for the game. And I think that's why we're here talking about this in the first place. To make matters even more impressive, Sturm Graz also won the Austrian Cup, which means Salzburg, no trophies for you this season. They didn't get anything. They got no trophies this year, and it's the first double that wasn't Salzburg since 2006. So actually a really impressive special season from Sturm Graz. This has also created a particularly funny situation. Funny for me, I guess. I don't know. The Salzburg now has to go through Champions League qualifying. Sturm Graz is automatically qualified for the Champions League stage because the Champions League format is changing. It is now like a table and a league and everything. And Sturm Graz is going straight into that. So Sturm Graz will immediately have the opportunity to play teams like Real Madrid, Arsenal, Manchester City, PSG, and Sturm Graz. They're already there, right? And Salzburg's the team that has done all of the incredible work of getting to Champions League knockout stages recently to raise the Austrian coefficient to a point where winning the league will get you automatically in there. Salzburg will be headed into the qualification process, which is, it's a really annoying draw because Salzburg is the type of team that expects to be able to compete for Champions League knockout appearances, and now they're going to be popping up against like Panathinaikos from Greece in the Champions League qualifying, who are just going to be sitting there looking at them like, what the hell are you guys doing here? What the fuck happened? But there's a lesson to take from this that might translate into the thing I was teasing you about at the beginning, the Premier League, because Sturm Graz's success did not happen overnight. Unless you're Bayer Leverkusen or apparently Stuttgart as well, you don't just spawn in out of nowhere to overthrow these types of dynasties. You build into it. And Sturm Graz very much built into this. The last season, the Austrian league is one of those weird ones that divides halfway through, or 2/3 of the way through, into a championship and relegation group, and then you play those teams 2 more times. Well, Sturm Graz ended up finishing second, 7 points off last year. 2 years ago, they did finish second again, but they ended up 15 points off. But they were very much up against what Salzburg was producing, and eventually they were able to break through. Maybe Arsenal can take some sort of happiness from that sort of situation. I don't know. But if you're an Arsenal fan, I'm really just trying to make you feel better, because what you just went through sucked. It sucks. Liverpool fans were going through that for a while, and obviously had even worse beats with like the 97-point season where Liverpool didn't win the league. But there is eventually, potentially, light at the end of that tunnel, because if you're finishing second in a league for a couple of years straight, you're clearly doing something right. Sturm Graz is doing something right, and it got all the way down to the final day, and Sturm Graz was able to produce a 2-0 win. Glorious. I'm also going to give a shout out to Red Bull Salzburg, even though I have now railed against corporate teams for like a good portion of this piece. They actually dropped a statement, which OneFootball, which is the best I could describe as like basically just a content dump. Right. They basically copied it verbatim and actually put it in a pretty nice readable situation. So this is the statement from Red Bull Salzburg that I think OneFootball is presenting like an article. Like there's no real... I guess they have like the Salzburg thing, but you could just misinterpret that as it being about Salzburg. I don't really know. OneFootball has always been weird to me. But anyways, the statement is Red Bull Salzburg like to congratulate SK. I'm not going to try to say that. Sturm Graz on winning the league. We did not make things easy over the season, topping the table for long stretches, but they deservedly won the title in the end, especially with their strong finish to the season. That's just nice. That's a great sportsmanship, setting a great example. Not starting any sort of petty squabbles, not talking any trash, which, like, understandably, I mean, Salzburg's won the league 10 years in a row. You'd be a little bitter about finally losing that streak. The fans that are there, right, and the coaches and the players, and having to sit there and, like, the fact that Sturm Graz is finally able to win. They do point out, like, our historic sequence of winning 10 league titles in a row. There's no need for us to look for excuses or make complaints. We'll have to leave the league title out of our trophy cabinet for now as we work even harder on following our successful Salzburg way even more determinedly, which I didn't know was a word until this very moment. And in fact, just its appearance in this statement makes me 51% sure that it's a word. So I'm uncomfortable going with full it's a word status for right now, but I'll get back to you on that. But I love the sentence, there is no need to look for excuses or make complaints. Sometimes you just lose. In Salzburg, the coaches and obviously the developmental scouts and everybody that's involved in that side of the game, they do an amazing job at Salzburg. But sometimes you just lose. Sometimes you're a good team and you just lose, and they admitted that. And for Sturm Graz, this title is going to mean a hell of a lot more than Salzburg collecting its 11th straight trophy anyways. So let's just work on spreading the happiness around a little bit. Always a good thing when that happens, right? I don't know. I don't really know a lot about the Austrian league. I just wanted to talk about the fact that another German giant, well, German-speaking giant, has been felled. I don't think there's any other countries that speak German, so I think everybody else is safe. PSG, Man City, Real Madrid, Inter. If anybody starts speaking German around you, get nervous. That's really a 1940s type vibe, isn't it?